When we first began to think about how to merge both flight attendant groups, one of our most important concerns was the seniority date that is used for bidding and the variables surrounding that date for both groups. We considered a variety of methods of integrating our lists, including straight date of hire, using seniority dates, a straight ratio comparing the true size of both groups, which worked out to 1.76 Delta to 1 Northwest, a ratio more favorable to Delta of 2 to 1, and a more aggressive ratio of 3 Delta to 1 Northwest. The 1.76 ratio is the actual pure ratio that keeps everyone on the merged list in the same percentile ranking that they had in the pre-merger list. What happens in this type of ratio is it actually ignores length of service, and that drives our seniority. The end result is more junior Northwest flight attendants begin to jump over more senior Delta flight attendants and vice versa.
Here's a slide that shows how even a straight ratio circumvents seniority. Because a ratio completely ignores hire dates and/or seniority dates, a straight ratio of 1.76 Delta flight attendants to 1 Northwest flight attendant would place nearly 3,000 junior Delta flight attendants ahead of more senior Northwest flight attendants, but also places almost 5,000 junior Northwest flight attendants ahead of more senior Delta flight attendants. The bottom line, over 7,600 more junior flight attendants would be placed on the merged list ahead of a more senior flight attendant. Now look at a slide that explains how adjusting the ratio by just 0.25% to 2 to 1 puts 847 Northwest flight attendants on the bottom of the list, and a 3 to 1 ratio puts 3,161 Northwest flight attendants at the bottom of the list. These Northwest flight attendants have seniority dates as senior as January 1992, nearly half of their entire population. This means that every Northwest flight attendant hired after January 1st of 1992 would be on the bottom of the list. And even this method still caused more junior Northwest flight attendants to jump over more senior Delta flight attendants. After reviewing the new law, past arbitration awards, and the ALPA arbitration decision, we came to recognize that a ratio would not meet the fair and equitable test required by federal law and would not be defendable in an arbitration hearing. The problem that we have found using date of seniority is that Northwest flight attendants start accruing seniority from their first day of training. Delta flight attendants start accruing seniority on graduation day, or in some cases, the first day available for trip assignment. Beginning in January of 2008, Delta changed the policy to allow for seniority to begin accruing on the first day of training. This disparity in dates brought us to the conclusion that would be fair and equitable, we would have to give Delta flight attendants credit for training to bring us up to equal footing with Northwest.
We also studied training patterns and looked at various ways to apply credit for training days, depending on when a Delta flight attendant was hired. From day one of training until their seniority date began, varied from 24 to 67 days.
If you would like more information on the specifics of how we looked at applying this credit for training, please watch the Training Day segment. It will provide you with more detailed information.